Hi everyone, welcome to my review of the LAIV Harmony HP2A. As might be evident from the writing here, this is an extremely well-built, premium feeling, looking, sounding unit at $2,700 for a world-class Class A preamp and a Class AB headphone amp, which outputs 12 watts from balanced, which can drive a Susvara without breaking a sweat. The preamp sounds immaculate. This, of course, builds on the success of their LAIV Harmony DAC, which I've reviewed on this channel. If you have not seen my review, do check it out, because my review of the LAIV Harmony DAC is slightly different from the plethora of LAIV Harmony DAC reviews on YouTube. Because in my review, I did a shootout between the LAIV Harmony DAC and the Terminator 12th anniversary from Denner Frips, as well as my favorite DAC, the Mola Mola Tombaki, which I have somewhere down below. Okay, so I've done a review of this DAC. I was in love, and I'm in love with the DAC. It is, I think, one of the best DACs at any price point, especially because of its very pleasing tonality. This has a very different tonality, and I was excited to get this in because some people told me that this complements the DAC very well. The DAC, of course, does not have an active preamp. This does, with this beautiful volume wheel here. I mean, I'm just so much in love with this black and gold aesthetics. I have a lot of black and gold on my system because I have these IFI power cores, which are black and gold in their colorway. I have this AudioQuest Black Beauty interconnects, both RCA and XLR, which also have a black and gold aesthetic going on. So I am like a lot of other audiophiles, somewhat aesthetically inclined. I mean, aesthetics are a part of the hobby, so this does deliver in terms of aesthetics. Just look at the beauty of this gold colored venting system. So this has two sort of vents. This is one of them. There's one underneath. You have these pointy feet here, which might not appeal to a lot of people, but they're not very difficult to put in. And with these sort of holders here. Now this is a way in which you can extend the input functionalities of the LAIV Harmony HP2A amp and preamp. So this HP2A amp and preamp has a single set of XLR inputs. With this, that you connect with an umbilical cord, you are able to then extend inputs to having 3 sets of inputs. So with this, you have these RCA inputs, you have these XLR inputs, and you have these XLR inputs at the back. So you have 3 sets of inputs with which you can connect whatever you wanted, like any 3 sources or what have you. Okay, so guys, I just want to emphasize the point that this is not just a headphone amp and not just a preamp, and it's not a halfway house. Some reviewers have pointed this out, and I do want to call that in. This is 100% preamp and 100% headphone amp. So I mean, just keep in mind that this. I mean, I want to maybe start with the headphone amp a bit and to talk you guys through what's inside this, because that's important. If you are a headphone aficionado, you might have heard of the Enlium 23R, which is like an awesome headphone amp and speaker amp that can drive a Susvara really well and can drive some sensitive speakers really, really well with a full body tonality and dynamic slam. That amp has 4 Exicon MOSFETs. This amplifier has 8 Exicon MOSFETs, which enable it to generate a lot of power from this balanced output, as much as 12 watts into 32 ohms. This is incredibly powerful for an amplifier this size. It can drive a Susvara or any other headphone you can possibly imagine. However, when it comes to the single-ended output, it drops to 2.8 watts. So that's wonderful, because you can control the gain here, and you can decide, like, let's say, for example, if you went to volume, you can go to minus 50 dB or 40 or 30, and the screen is just amazing. I love the font typography here. I love the size of this. Love the feel and the tactility, the visibility, the clarity. So yeah, you can change the gain, and with which you can decide to run very sensitive IEMs. This is biased into Class AB, made of discrete components, so you do get your bang for the buck. Guys, I mean, Class A and Class AB have their different sets of fans and followers. I mean, you don't get a huge difference because this is Class AB. It's not overly warm, in case that's what you're wondering, which I think is a smart touch, because the LAIV Harmony DAC was somewhat warm, somewhat laid back. This is not. This is an upfront kind of a presentation, which I do think pairs really well. I'll also talk about what the preamp sounds like. Okay, so the preamp, by the way, is also very well developed. It's a Class A operation, unlike the headphone amp. So the preamp is Class A, made entirely of discrete components and has a fully balanced circuit. So, is this a perfect amp and preamp? In some ways it is, guys. It is in many ways a perfect headphone amp and a preamp. Of course, it's $2,700, and in many ways you do get what you pay for. So if you want something that is, so this performs amazingly for this price. But you do get a headphone amp that you can get like a Riviera balanced AIC Riviera for $15,000, so 5 times the price. And of course, with that sort of headphone amp, you'll get a little more detail, a little more warmth, a little better timbral performance, and a little better technical performance. You can get a preamp that, of course, can outclass this. This is only $2,700. I say only in air quotes. You can get a preamp that is perhaps 10 times more expensive, and you'll get a better sense of stage. A little more resolution, more nuances, low-level signals, etc. But at this price point of $2,700, I cannot imagine a better preamp and or a better headphone amp. So I do rate this highly for its price. It is incredible value. This, by the way, comes separately. It's about $350. LE Link is what is being written here. This is umbilical cord they provide you with, which is a very high quality umbilical cord. Guys, I do want to talk a bit about its sound, but before I do that, maybe I'll just quickly take you through its, menu operation. So you can decide to do whatever you want with the display, whether you want to dim it or switch it off, what have you. And I don't want to switch it off. You can go to volume, like I said, and then you can decide what to do with the volume and lower it if you wanted to. And you go to shape. Shape is a way in which you can use one remote with both the LAIV Harmony DAC and the LAIV Harmony preamp and headphone amp. And you can set shapes to a certain button on the remote with which you can decide when the remote is basically talking to the headphone amp and when the remote is talking to the DAC. And of course, you have other options. You can reset it. So it's built like a friggin' tank. I will show you also what it looks like from the back. I have a pretty sturdy i5 power cord here. In terms of my quibbles and niggles, so this is, of course, universal voltage unit, as might be evident, right? It's fairly heavy. So just look at the finish of these beautiful heat sinks. It's a bit heavy. So my quibble is, guys, that this will not be for everyone. This way of setting this headphone amp up using this feet for the spikes, this spike stuff is not going to be for everyone, right? Because this can damage furniture. And I'm getting a new headphone rack, so I'm not very, audio rack, so I'm not very concerned with and I'm going to polish this current one up. So I'm not very concerned with the marks this is leaving. Overbuilt, beautifully built, has these sort of openings, little holes on which you can stack a DAC. The DAC also has similar holes, so you can decide which one to stack on top of which. But this is what the back looks like. It's, again, very well built, plethora of options, and you can, like I said, expand the input options using this. Okay, now to talk about sound, guys. So I do want to talk about the sound because, you can use the preamp outputs on the back and you will get the preamp sound, which I've tested. Or you can use the headphone outputs on the front, and I'll talk about the sounds of both because the preamp and the headphone amp do not sound exactly the same. In terms of sound, right, to talk about the headphone amp first, I feel that the sound is more energetic than the LAIV Harmony DAC, a little more neutral up front. The bass grunt is palpable, so in that it does sound like the LAIV Harmony DAC because LAIV Harmony DAC had pretty excellent bass for the price. Bass hits hard, well controlled, textured. It's a little more sub bass than mid bass, whereas I felt the LAIV Harmony DAC had a better balance of mid and sub. Somewhat forward mid range, a lot of clarity, treble sparkle, So it's overall a balanced, neutral sounding headphone amplifier. Now, I do want to talk about the preamp sound. The preamp sounds warmer. It doesn't sound laid back. So it's not going to, make your system sound overly laid back, but it is a Class A operation made of discrete components. So the preamp does sound slightly warmer than the headphone amp. And for that, I feel, it is exciting because, so you are able to, of course, if you have the DAC, dial in and dial out the sound as you would like, because the DAC has wonderful NOS and OS toggle options. This is not the DAC, but the DAC has the ability to get a more incisive sound using OS or oversampling, or a more laid back sound using NOS or non-oversampling. So if you have the DAC and the preamp and you want a more incisive sound, you can use oversampling on the DAC. If you have the DAC and this preamp and you want a more laid back romantic sound, you use the NOS, and this preamp has a bit of warmth to it, but not overly so. It's not muddy or it's not fuzzy. Great options, a great palette of sound when you consider that the headphone amp and the preamp have a very different sonic take. So that's it, guys. This is a real winner, a match winner at $2,700, because nowadays you can't get something this well built, this pretty, with this sort of sound for $2,700. So for that, the LAIV Harmony HP2A headphone amp and preamp has my highest recommendation. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next one. Bye-bye.